So I want to do a quick video that kind of addresses the motorized bicycle and having issues getting it running. Now most people have the most trouble getting it running the first fire up, but not always. So there's two things that are really important on these bicycles, and that's compression and spark. And then also the carburation can be another factor, but generally if you cannot get the bike to start, the first thing I recommend, if you have compression, and compression is if you let out your clutch and with the spark plug in, the motor seems to be fighting you, like lugging you down when you're pedaling, then you have compression. So the first thing I would do is to take the plug out and hold it on the on your engine head here on a bolt, and walk the bike with the clutch out. And it shouldn't be too hard because the spark plug will be out, so the motor will have no compression. But and you want to do this in a darker area or maybe even at night, but you should see a spark in the plug between the in the plug gap. You should see the spark jumping. Now if you don't, you most likely have a problem with your ignition components, and you can slowly try and trace them back. The first thing you can do is unplug your kill switch. I've had several issues and it's always been the kill switch, so you would just come down here, and where it connects in, I got it all taped up, but you would take those two leads out, and then your bike should run. Then to kill it, you would just flip your choke on. But and you can kind of just track it down from there. You could put a test light in the in this connector here that goes into the coil, or the CDI, or whatever they call it on these bikes. And then if you see your light up on your tester, then obviously you're getting power to the CDI, but not any farther. So anywho, spark is a big thing that goes, but it's not always the only thing. The other thing that is real easy to have happen with these carburetors is a big vacuum leak. So what you want to make sure is that you got your carburetor slid all the way up snug with this intake manifold, and good and tight, but not too tight. You don't want it, it's all really thin stuff, so you don't want to break it. But these carburetors are only like $10 a piece off eBay, so, and I've had good luck with them. So usually they're not too much of a problem, but I have had problems where it slides back on this intake manifold and I get a big vacuum leak. Also, when you're starting them for the first time, generally it takes a lot of pedaling to kind of get some fuel down to the crankcase and up into the cylinder, because this goes in to the crankcase basically, and it's just a little bit different design than your normal four-stroke motor. So what you want to do is pedal for a good 2 minutes, have it on full choke, because with the full choke you're going to be pulling more engine vacuum, pulling more through the carburetor, and maybe even hold your this little button down. I'm not sure what it's called, but it holds the float down and allows in a lot more fuel. So if you do that in conjunction with the choke on while you're doing this, after about 2 minutes, if you have spark, if you flip your choke down so it's running wide open, so it's fully open, and you pedal and drop the clutch, it should fire right up. So I've never had a problem doing it that way. But anyway, those are some things to check if you can't get your motorized bike to even fire up. It's most likely the ignition system, but you have to also be patient with it too if it's your first time getting it to start, because they do take a little bit of time to get the engine all primed up and whatnot. And if you're impatient or anything of that nature, I guess you could take the spark plug out and drip a little gasoline down in the into the bore. But I wanted to make mention of two more things here really quick. So sometimes when people go to start their bike for the first time, their carburetor actually doesn't have any fuel in it, and you want to make sure that your carburetor actually does get fuel down to it. So I mean, It's as simple as opening this petcock and holding your finger over the hose and then sticking the hose over the little fitting there and letting it kind of drain in. And you want to make sure you have fuel there, as you're not going to start too well without it. So it's something to be mindful of. And also, back to these ignition components here. Usually the spark plugs that they send with the kits are pretty bad, so I generally replace them right away with the this Champion plug here. Let's see if we can get the part numbers on it. It looks like CJ. Blackberry's not too good. CJ7Y. So I found that plug to work pretty well. I've been running the same plug for all 1,400 miles. So anyway, two more things to be mindful of there. So there you go.